Hey guys, and welcome to your February 2020 Tarot Creativity Forecasts. My name is Kayleigh and welcome to my channel. I record these readings for artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, and anybody who is working on their personal growth or their spirituality and self-expression in any way. So if those areas of life are intriguing to you right now, go ahead and keep watching. I also want to give a really quick announcement about the Tarot Self-Therapy group course that we have coming up. I will put all of the information below. This is a course that starts actually this month in February, and all of the information again will be in the link below this video. It's essentially a course that takes you through really forming a deeper personal relationship with your deck from specifically a self-therapeutic perspective. So we're going to be working with the cards in a very gentle way, getting to know the archetypes and exploring the archetypes and their ins and outs very in depth, and also working with self-healing spread work and how you can really use tarot as a self-healing tool. So if you're looking for something to indulge your curiosity in, especially when it comes to tarot and divination or even healing work in general, this course could have a lot for you. And we also do have a group where you can chat with other participants as well. Alright, so that information is below the video. Let's get right into your reading. Okay, Gemini, let's get into your February reading. While I was tuning into your energy, I was getting this impression, first of all, of a bird that was kind of just standing, like not in flight, and the color scale was very like grays and black and white, and then I see the bird kind of opening its wings, and then it starts flying, kind of like takes off, and everything's in color all of a sudden. So I don't know specifically what this means for you because this is a very symbolic image, but what I was getting is just this sense that like there's some kind of opportunity coming up where I feel like you have to kind of really trust your wingspan or almost trust like your ability to sort of rise to an occasion. And this may or may not be something that is really like extraordinarily new to you. It could be something that you've been thinking about or something that you've been doing for a little while, but for some reason this month it could feel like a stretch. It could feel like you're really expanding yourself and kind of stretching who you are and going sort of beyond almost your limits. But this probably is going to be more significant in the context of like facing certain fears that you might have. So I just want you to like get comfortable with this if this is a message that you feel could potentially be for you, and really sink into this idea that it's okay to be bigger than you already are. Like it's okay to see yourself as more than what your maybe go-to concept of yourself is. We tend to talk about this concept of like ego, and a lot of times especially in like new age circles or spiritual circles, ego can almost sound kind of like a dirty word, or it can sound like something that has these negative connotations to it. I personally don't really ever subscribe to that myself. I mean, I think ego definitely has its limits, but I also feel like it's a really good term to just describe our conscious view of ourselves. Okay, and sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need to have a conceptual, understanding of who we are. But ideally, that is like with the knowledge that we are also more than we could ever like dream of. In our conscious life, we have a limited perspective. So as long as we have an awareness of that and a humility to that, then I think that the concept of ego can take on maybe a little bit of a different meaning. In a way, our ego or our idea of ourselves can become limiting because our ego can tell us that we are small and we have to play small and that we can't do certain things, or we would feel like an imposter, like we'd have imposter syndrome, or we would struggle with finding our voice, or whatever. That can be ego too. So, I think it's important to think about how you view yourself this month and how you could be limiting your own options just by the concept that you have of yourself in your life. Like, I want you to be more fluid with your identity this month. I want you to be more open to seeing your potential as opposed to like what you think you've already accomplished or what you feel like your challenges have been in the past. I think this is a really good month for you to kind of shed that and spread your wings in some way. Now the other message that I was sort of getting with this, and it was kind of funny, and maybe this is really specific for someone out there, but I was kind of seeing almost like when you are probably 14 or 15 and you go to like a school dance. Like, there's this kind of energy of being really almost kind of nervous or immature or just feeling kind of new to something, and then kind of seeing somebody that you really are attracted to or that you sort of bond with or that you have this little crush on almost, and there's this really like powerful intensity that comes with that. It's almost like, oh my gosh, there's that person, like, like they're right there, oh my god, like they just looked at me or something. It's like that kind of feeling, and it's that kind of feeling of excitement as well that comes with that. So again, I have no idea what this means for you. This could be totally metaphorical. It could be about something that you are really drawn to in the creative sphere of your life, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, do I get to do this? Or, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing this. But it could also literally be a person. Like, maybe you're meeting somebody who you're feeling really flirtatious with, or you're connecting with somebody who you just have a really strong chemistry with, like a very strong reaction to. So that can also be a theme, Gemini. I'm really curious to hear from you guys if you want to share like what this is about, because I am totally open. I don't know exactly what these messages are meaning for you guys right now. Okay. Gemini, Gemini, Gemini. Let's get some messages for Gemini in February. Here we go. All right. So I'm using the After Tarot for you guys today. I just really feel like this is a fun, exciting deck to use. Okay, and let's take a look at your Animal Spirit Oracle cards. So we have Spider, crossed by the Unicorn. Wow, this is really beautiful. So this is adding a depth to the messages that came through during the meditation, but it's also adding some new stuff. So what I get with the Spider as your path, this is a really beautiful card in this deck, and it relates a lot to like the work and effort that we put out into the world, but it's also our path of service in a larger, more personal sense, what we feel that we're really here to do, like what your purpose is, what your mission is, Gemini, using the skills, experiences, and knowledge that you've acquired in your life, and how are you sort of giving that back? It's your Dharma. So with the Spider card coming up as your path, I feel like there is the potential that some kind of narrative around your professional life and your career is becoming more clear to you this month. This is actually really positive, because I feel like if you're someone who has struggled with defining yourself, like if you're multi-passionate, for example, or if you have maybe like at least two separate but very clear passions that you want to be involved in, I feel like sometimes there can be like a push and pull between you, like within you is what I rather mean. With the Spider card, I see almost like as the spider is sort of spinning the web, it's kind of like unifying that narrative. So maybe you're finding some commonalities between all of the different stuff that you're interested in. You could be a Reiki healer, for example, but then you're also like an RN or you're in, some form of medicine that is like totally different, and nobody at your normal job knows that you're into this like totally other sphere. But you could be finding, or at least kind of anchoring into yourself, a way that you can sort of serve both of those strengths or both of those attributes, and really bring them together and harness all of the effort that you've put in, to advancing yourself and moving forward, and you can maybe serve people in a better or more influential or more significant way. So there's something that's like making more sense. Like I see you kind of gathering all of these loose ends that you're thinking about when it comes to your career life and your professional life, and you're sort of kind of tying them all together and figuring out, okay, yeah, this is the story of what I do. Like this is the mission, this is the backdrop, this is the history, and it's amazing how powerful that is actually in having a business that means something to you. It's really important to have those things clear in your mind, and they may change over time, but you're accomplishing something in that realm right now, which is exciting. And that's also why I see the unicorn coming up as the influence card for you. It's funny that we see kind of a card that is like a little bit more service oriented, and it's like connected to the collective with these the web, and I see all of the joints of the spider web kind of representing all of the individuals, right, that you can influence through your specific set of skills and talents. But then the influence card is the unicorn, and I almost see the unicorn kind of like the horn is almost piercing this very like collective oriented, service oriented energy. So it's like your individuality, which for me unicorns are like a symbol of, that mystical kind of magical, irreplaceable part of ourselves that makes each one of us totally unique. Your individuality is sort of piercing into the collective in a significant way, and that is also probably something that is becoming part of your story and informing, these words of your mission statement, for example. So I do think this would be a great time to work on like your mission statement if you have a business or if you're starting a business, Gemini. I think it'd be really, really useful right now, because I think that you're kind of figuring out what your special sauce is and how you can kind of support and serve others with it. So that's what I'm seeing in your Animal Spirit Oracle cards, and now I'm really excited for you. I want to take a look at your tarot cards. So we've got the Magician. I was waiting for the Magician. I knew it was coming. I really wasn't sure exactly when it was going to show up, but I was like, this is a total Magician reading. So that's really awesome. Okay, we got Hierophant, Eight of Wands, Two of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, Page of Pentacles, Three of Cups, and Two of Swords. Interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to tune in here for a few moments. Okay, I'm having some like really interesting aspects coming to life with this reading, which is one of the things that I do really enjoy about this deck, is I feel like it's very alive. And I'll put a link below to it so you can find it if you're interested and you're looking for a new deck. But this one is really coming to life for me right now. And I think you guys are going to probably laugh with me on a couple of these things. But the first, week of the month, we've got the Magician and the Hierophant. So there is a sense of kind of harnessing what you would almost call like sacred knowledge, or harnessing some kind of existing knowledge that you possess, and really wanting to put it to use in a different way. That's really the key word here, because the Hierophant is tradition. It's also the word Hierophant means demonstrator of mysteries, right? And so there is this connotation with this card of not only just knowledge and technologies and sort of strategies that have been proven over time, but it's also sacred knowledge, sacred concepts of the universe, sacred concepts of, that even, for example, that quantum physics would be able to sort of corroborate. Now we're seeing so much of that with science now kind of confirming ancient beliefs and sacred kind of belief systems, shamanic belief systems as well throughout around the world. So it's very exciting, and I feel like there's some kind of element of that with you, Gemini, whether it's you harnessing some kind of hidden knowledge that only you possess about yourself or about your life and about experiences that you've had, or you could literally, like I said before, be working with some kind of tried and true technique. For example, a shamanic tradition that you might be studying, or it could even be something occult with tarot, for example, or even religious and faith-based. And in some ways it could also even be academic too, but there's some kind of system of knowledge, or an amassment of knowledge, if that's even a word, that you possess, that I feel like you're like this magician where I love how they illustrate him like levitating all of these tools. So it's like his understanding of the basics, right? Like the magician is pictured with the symbols of earth, water, air, and fire, to show that he understands like the foundation of existence. He understands the basic principles, and because he has such a refined understanding of the core pieces of life, he can then manipulate them and work with them to manifest or to create or to move energy, essentially. So what we're seeing here is like your maybe past studying or your understanding of certain techniques, and maybe even techniques of like reaching higher states of consciousness, or techniques of getting yourself into the zone, creatively speaking. Even awareness of the power of story can also be like a key that the Hierophant holds, because he's aware of the subtle kind of pieces that have to be present in order to tell a really good story. It's sort of formulaic in a way, but it's not something that you necessarily just get that sense when you're just listening to a good story or being told a good story. You don't always know like why it works, it just does. And the Hierophant is somebody who actually goes into that area of study and goes deeper with it and figures out what makes a story work or what makes something ring true. And then the magician is the one who kind of takes that depth of knowledge and then uses it. So there's a really powerful sense of you kind of gaining, or at least remembering, something useful and important that's actually going to be able to move you forward. By the second week of February, I see you kind of taking aim on something, because these cards came up with the Eight of Wands before the Two of Pentacles. I feel like you're kind of trying to hit a moving target here, Gemini. I feel like there's something that you are like really looking at, like similar to the unicorn, right? Piercing into the collective. We have that kind of symbology here where we see that exact same pattern of energy here with the Eight of Wands person aiming, and then there's this like circular, the lemniscate, the figure eight infinity symbol, which has that circular energy. So there's that sense of like really aiming at a target. But I feel like there's something or someone that you thought you had to let go of, or that you thought you had to release, or you thought that had like passed you by, okay? Because here you are aiming, and then these people are walking away. So it's like something that you thought you weren't gonna get, something that you thought was moving past you, you could actually take one last shot at it whether that is a job interview, for example, that maybe you went on a couple job interviews with a particular company and they're not calling you back, and it seems like they might kind of be going leaning in a different direction, and then you just send like one final email just letting them know one little more piece of information, and then it's almost like they kind of turn around and they're like, hey, wait a minute, like, let's talk some more, you know? And that's with the Knight of Cups and the Page of Pentacles coming up, is like, it feels to me like there's some kind of unexpected thing that's like coming, it's like circling back around into your life. It may even be like a creative project that you worked on a few months ago, and then you kind of got tired of it, or, you know, other things got in the way, and then all of a sudden now you're like fiercely going back to it. And there's a sense of real, you know, intention and strong trajectory towards that. But by the time we get to the third week of February, we've got Knight of Cups and Page of Pentacles. And this was actually one of the kind of funny things that had me chuckling a little bit when I was looking at this. And this is not going to be relevant for all of you. I feel like this is just a specific thing. But I feel like someone out there is considering doing something almost sort of exploratory when it comes to your own consciousness. So you could be either meditating, doing a specific form of meditation that's known to kind of induce different states of consciousness. There could also be like a desire to kind of use some kind of a substance to alter your life perspective. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think you guys probably know what I mean, and obviously I'm not saying do anything unsafe or anything like that, but I feel like there's this some kind of energy around the third week of February where you're like kind of wanting to explore something that feels really different from your normal kind of waking state. And then we see this person kind of, they're like taking this, you know, cup and they're drinking from it, and then it almost seems like they're kind of seeing this like apparition, you know, with this like little person over here. So that's just what I'm seeing. I know that is probably super silly, but there could also be some symbolic, like purely symbolic meaning to this in the third week of February, which could be related to, I want to say, taking on a new, like, idea for a little while. Like, wearing different spectacles, essentially, can really change the outcomes that you experience in your life. It's not just about putting on rose-colored glasses or something like that, but I feel like if you hear someone sharing about a belief that really works for them, like a belief that they have about life or the universe or, you know, something along those lines, and you're like, wow, that's interesting. I never would have like connected that, or I never would have applied it that way. Maybe I'll just try for like a week and look at life the way that this person looks at it. Maybe this person that you're hearing is like a master at manifesting, you know, maybe they just really are super into law of attraction or something else. It could be something totally different, but it's like, I feel this energy of you sort of trying on a different perspective in life. And then with the Page of Pentacles, you're actually seeing this like magical side to that. And you're seeing these little maybe omens or signs that maybe this is actually a good way to look at things. Maybe this is something that can provide or at least open the space for unexpected blessings to come into your life. So I encourage you to kind of explore things, but always trust your gut. Don't do anything that you feel is going to be like too wacky, but I do think that it's a good idea to be more open-minded in that third week of February. Okay, last week of February we have the Three of Cups and the Two of Swords. So I feel like there's something in these cards about like abstaining from maybe like social things. So you might feel a little bit more contemplative at the end of the month. You may actually decide that you don't really want to go out with friends, even though maybe you agreed to do it before. And there's a sense of like maybe some sort of healing around that. or if you are making plans to kind of go out with friends or to even join a business partnership or business alliance, and you've been talking about it for a while with some people, but then at the end of the month you're kind of finding yourself getting cold feet. If that's the case, Gemini, in either case, I think it's important that you allow yourself permission to take a step back. Because I think that is, if you get that like hunch, like, you know what, maybe I want to hold off or postpone that. Maybe I don't want to sign that contract, or maybe I would rather not go to that concert, even though I thought it would be exciting, but now I'm kind of feeling like I just want to be at home. I think that if you get that inclination, there could be a tendency to be hard on yourself and think like, oh, I'm just being antisocial or I'm blocking people out. But I feel like you should actually just trust it, because I feel that for many of you, it could be like a strong intuition. Like basically it could just be saying, you know, this might not be the most balancing thing for you to do. Or if it's a business contract or something along those lines, maybe you're that's your intuition reminding you or telling you that the situation may involve a lot of like celebration at first, and there could be like a lot of excitement at first, but then later there could be some conflict that emerges. And so you're just kind of picking that up because you're very intuitive, but you're also kind of, because you're Gemini, you're sort of analyzing it and thinking about it and thinking, wait a minute, where is this coming from? What I want to say is, like, you don't have to rush it. If you're feeling any sense of having second thoughts, I think you should just allow yourself to take a little bit of a break or to postpone something, and that's totally fine too. Other than that, though, I mean, there could be like highs and lows in that last week, especially when it comes to social things. Like you could have if you do go out with friends or whatever, that could be really fun, but then afterwards somebody might be like, oh, well, he said something that like made me upset, and then the other person might get defensive, and it may not even involve you, Gemini, but I feel like you're kind of in the middle of it. So, you know, that's all of the potential scenarios and you can see how they're sort of thematically linked. But yeah, just trust yourself basically in that last week, and know if you want to pull back, it's totally safe and fine and permissible to do that. Okay, Gem, thank you so much for listening to this reading. I hope it's beneficial to you in some way. Please let me know in the comments if you're still with me. I absolutely love hearing from you guys, and the comments and likes on these videos really do help my channel. It supports these messages that I give out every month. So if you want to say thank you, you can always just leave me a little comment and say, I'm still with you, Kayleigh Jean, or you can give this video a thumbs up, or you also have the option to donate to support my channel, which I'll put that information below. I will also put the information for the Tarot Self-Therapy group course, and all of that information will be below as well. Okay, Gemini, hope you have an awesome month, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!